one, go!
Welcome to the Set Count, your source for tournament results, storylines, and analytics set to the tune of your speakers. I'm your host, MVG Vayseth, and I'm joined here by the ever swamped and busy PG Suar. How you doing?
Good. Still busy.
And also the world traveler recently. I formerly hold that title, but now it goes to our very own UR Sage. How you doing, buddy?
I am taking kind of a break. I actually don't have that much to do this week, but I just got back from E3 and Nairo Saga, Smash and Splash before that, so now I'm pretty chill for a month.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. So in this little introduction section, we'll talk a little bit about what's going on. So I'm actually on permanent hiatus until the big house. I've got so many different things going on, and I'll also like this little extended introduction segment will help you guys know why we've been on breaks and whatnot, and like let everybody know what's going on. But yeah, until the big house, I'm probably not going to do much of anything. We've been working with MVG to try to like work it out, but like various family and personal reasons. So like I'm just tournamentless until at least the big house. But like we've already started working on the big house. Went to this sweet ramen joint. Did I talk about that last time? I don't remember. But do you guys remember?
I don't
you found
remember a
it.
ramen joint.
Oh, okay. Yeah, like there's like legit Japanese ramen like right next to the Big House 7 venue, and like has like dollar Sapporo draft during happy hour for 3 to 6. It's super cool. Like I've already been there a couple times, and I'm hoping to show Juggle Rob there when we go visit the venue next week. But yeah, it's pretty cool. I'm looking forward to all the challenges a new venue will bring, and I just need some time.
Are you gonna get a nice internet sub clause in your contract?
I mean, we're going to the venue, and like that's definitely something we're going to talk about. If nobody noticed, I tweeted about that. Like at Frostbite, I specifically said, and we paid extra for. Like it was a lot of money, by the way. It was like almost 1/5 of the venue contract itself. Was to guarantee that we would have X amount of internet, guaranteed up and down, guaranteed certain lines, and like if we didn't, the venue would be free. So if for any reason if the internet went down, then we would not pay the venue anything for any of our hotels, the space, any of that stuff. So, and Sage can tell you the internet was pretty phenomenal. So
Yeah, no issues.
but like we had to have special construction to have it done, and my personal opinion is we as a scene have been like moving forward too fast for these convention centers and hotels to like catch up. So sometimes they need to do construction, so you need to be very careful about like what your needs specifically are. And if you don't know how many amps everything is and like what upload and download speed you need, you probably should find somebody who does before you sign a contract.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't think
Yeah.
most convention centers are prepared for like large scale video game tournaments.
Yeah, it was nice at the Kalahari. They gave us they had a dedicated guy on staff who could just like jack up our internet or open any more ports that we needed. And for the whole event, I think we had 150 up, 150 down across 5 streams, and like fiber lines. So we were golden.
Yeah, just want to stress again that 9 times out of 10 it is not streamer error, it is venue or just frankly internet in the US being straight booty. Like it's just bad. But talking about the Kalahari, well, we do want to catch up with what Sage has been up to. So you went to Smash and Splash, Nairo Saga, E3. Did I miss anything?
No, I think that's it.
So give us the short and sweet, the TLDR for your little trip that you've had over the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, I mean, Smash and Splash was obviously, you guys, lots of people watched it. It was fun. Nairo Saga also mostly went out there. I was actually going for E3, but I just booked my flight a couple days earlier to go hang at Nairo Saga. Had a couple meetings with there, then also had a couple meetings at E3, and got to play some Dragon Ball. It's so good.
So lucky.
I managed to pull a couple contacts and friends and be like, hey, get me in like the media area, the back area, and like get me a private session with the game. Played it a bunch. It's so good. It's actually phenomenal. Like if anybody was like kind of skeptical on it, don't be. It's really, really good.
That's really good to hear. It looks very good, and like everybody's been raving about it, so that's really cool.
Yeah, the game is really well done. It plays kind of like a Guilty Gear with more movement options, I guess, which is really interesting.
So wait, were you just hanging out at Nairo Saga, or were you actually on staff?
I was just hanging out.
Oh wow, cool.
I actually did almost no work there the entire time. It was
Nice.
pretty. It was pretty interesting.
So you went there specifically for E3, and you thought, why not? Let's just go to Nairo Saga.
Yeah, right. Like I was gonna fly out Monday, and then I was like, why not just fly out Friday and just go for fun?
Sounds good. Sounds good.
Yeah, I saw you shuffling.
Yeah. EMX can get pretty lit. That's all I'll say.
Nice.
I haven't shuffled in like 3 years, dude. I used to actually be pretty good. Used to is the key word. And
back in the Hot Topic days.
Shuffling in flip flops is also really hard.
Ooh, that is not something I'm really
You just gotta
down with.
Clench your toes really tightly so you don't fling your shoes.
Fair enough. Fair enough. But yeah, so we know we talked about it briefly last time, but Suar, you just got into grad school, and PGR is finally coming out. We actually have dates and even translators published as of today.
Yeah, I mean the dates have been out since the middle of the season. The first video will come out June 27th here in a couple weeks.
Not July 27th.
Yeah, and we're gonna have Paradin actually subtitle everything into Japanese, which will be a huge boon. Only because a sizable amount of the PGR this time will be Japanese. Surprise, surprise.
Spoiler alert.
So, yeah, it was something that I thought would be appropriate, and I don't know if we're gonna have announced the announcer by the time this recording comes out, but when that comes out, it'll be really good for everybody, I think, and it'll really tie things together. So keep an eye out for that.
Yeah, no, I'm really excited, especially since everyone's getting kind of hype for various rankings. If you haven't seen them already, check out Haruki's latest Japan rankings, which they've already done at least one video at this point, and
Probably the second one soon.
Right. It's done by a guy who did or a girl. I actually don't know. I've never met them. Who, let's see, did the Evo preview or something for last year, and it was like very well done, and like they just outdid themselves this time as well. And the production value is super cool, really refreshing, and like good to see other communities from outside the US like putting in serious like memorable content and like doing it in such a way where you don't really have a language barrier issue. We actually talked about that behind the scenes for a while about narration versus not narration, and making sure that everybody knows the biggest audience for esports is in the US. So making sure that not just them, but everybody can watch, read, understand, and know exactly what's going on is like really cool.
Say Smash esports in the US, not necessarily esports.
True. So
yeah, a big old fan base in Korea.
Oh yeah, for sure. About various different games.
Yeah, it really depends on the game. I mean, like, I think China still has a massive Crossfire scene. It's just like weird, but again, I think that game is from like 2004 or something. Super old.
Just sometimes people just keep playing games. Melee is super old, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, true. Actually,
yeah, it came out in 2001.
Yeah, so I think that with Haruki's list, it was something that was incredible to see everybody featured, and it was interesting that there was no narration. But yeah, I mean the PGR with the narrators now going on 2 iterations. The third one pretty much just fits the theme now, and so it'd be interesting to see future iterations of Japan rankings, whether or not they'd start narrating or if we stop narrating and whatever happens.
Yeah, either way, it's good to know that like we've acknowledged that this game is like becoming quickly one of the most international games out there, so having more ways to make sure that everybody knows what's going on. And at the end of the day, like you have a higher production value, and if you don't limit yourself by language or whatever, then it's pretty easy for you to get more and more views, which at the end of the day turns into more and more, opportunities. So good stuff all around. But Suar, before we move on to our main topic today, do you have the top 50 already figured out at this point in time?
Yeah, it's just chiseling away. some extraneous information, cleaning up some stuff, but it's pretty much in the bag. At least the top 10.
Oh, okay. So you already know who at least at this point, over a week before it comes out, who's in the
Oh,
top
what?
50.
Oh yeah, way before. I mean, we have to make all the assets now, so it's Monday now, and everything is pretty much squared away. We're just confirming some last few things on the database, and then making the cards Tuesday, and then Fiasco will be animating Wednesday up until the weekend, and then we'll have probably all the script being read by Thursday to have all the videos done. Actually, by Sunday. So we'll actually have a good amount of time beforehand, unlike last year with Crisis Mode Sage and False, working in like hours before it was supposed to come out.
Yeah.
I know.
Well, the only
Awful.
reason why I ask is so everybody out there knows, you cannot bug Suar before it comes out because it's already done. So it's over. You missed your chance. Too little, too
You,
late. It's already
you
on
could
the cutting room floor.
you could still bug and people will, but I actually really like this time around. I guess we can, I guess like wrapping up like why I've been so busy. I started grad school, so grad school's fun. Studying to become a teacher for STEM education, so science is fun. But a lot of the PGI this time around has been privately discussed with a lot of members of the community, notably just like top players, and getting their input as to the methodologies this time around. We're doing a 50-50 split between set counts and placements, which blah, 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 you'll be able to read about later. But we confronted Zero and Nairo and DeBuzz, Mr. R, and
And many, many
ESAM.
more.
Yeah, and ESAM to talk about, like, in great detail. Like, I have, like, 6 or 7 group DMs with each of them and practical tasks. And we're just, like, asking questions, testing this, testing that, and they're all for it. So I'm really happy that they're so supportive of it and they're informed, because I guess the second one, the issue was like people didn't understand. People were upset over a bunch of stuff. Nakat went on Yahoo Esports and called it trash, which rightfully so, to be honest. And then they just didn't know it. But now people are informed, people are backing it, and I spent through like a lot of conversations I've had to do like one-on-one. So yeah.
Dope.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to the next few weeks, at least from the PGR side. Should be
Oh, and
very
the Smash
interesting.
economy goes to an all-time high. I mean, there's like people making their own top 10, their own top 20, guessing, realizing it's like nearly impossible because CEO had such great results for some people, but some bad results for others. And so after Nairo Saga, where things looked like it could end a certain way, CEO just shook it up. And I think for Leo, it was like the best thing that could have happened. And then it was really bad for other people. I mean, Leo getting second there and also winning Genesis is just great. And Zach top 8ing 3 out of 4 S tier events is like undeniable, like top 10.
For sure, yeah.
And it's also cool because people are using the language that we've given, the tournament tiers and using the classification. And so like before, like nobody talked about tournaments as like ABCS. But now everybody's like, they know what they're talking about. They refer to the TTS. People are always linking it. There's like, credibility that stacks on it. And then people are talking about these events like, yeah, of course it's S tier, blah, blah, blah. And so that really helps everybody to also track how people are doing.
Well, a new thing has recently come up, which is going to be the bulk of our show today, which is Nintendo Versus. So where were you when you first saw Nintendo Versus?
Being upset that voice is still a thing.
No, what do you call? I definitely saw it when it was very new, like under 1,000 followers, and I was like, "Whoa, what is this?" And I went out and I retweeted constantly. I found everybody who was talking about it and retweeted it. I talked about it all the time. I was like, "We all need to follow this." And this was before E3, before we knew, unfortunately, that there was absolutely zero Smash news the entire conference.
Which I actually think is a good thing right now. Throughout the conference, I was kind of skeptical that there would be, because right now, if you announce Smash, like Friday, ARMS came out. Any Smash announcement, they could have just shown a Smash Ball and like a Switch logo next to it, and that was it, and it would have overtaken ARMS. Like people might not have cared anymore.
Right. It was just really bad marketing. Like anybody who was expecting it, like, good work, because they just announced Pokken, and that's another quote-unquote fighting game or social competitive game, as the new lingo says. And they have Splatoon coming out, and they have like these A-list titles coming out almost every month, unlike other systems. Yeah, I think Nintendo won E3, by the way. Like, they have all these titles coming out, and if they talk about Smash, yeah, they probably sell a bunch of Switches as people prepare for it, but all these other titles would probably sell less, or people would get bored with them a lot quicker. So good on them.
And I think they wanted to really focus on the invitational stuff that was going on, which if you didn't watch any of it, the Splatoon 2 invitational was amazing, and you should go back and watch it. Arms was pretty goofy. Pokken was like a wash. Like the fact Alistair was the only player there that is actually a top Pokken player
that actually knows what they're doing.
Yeah, he just crapped on everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw against Naira. That was so funny.
It was not close.
Yeah, so the Pokken stuff was pretty interesting. The ARM stuff was fun to watch. I'm mad that Zerk's goofy face is on the Twitter banner of Nintendo now.
Oh my god, yeah. And we'll definitely get to that. So for anybody who isn't sure about what happened, at Nintendo VS or Versus came out and it suddenly hit Twitter and goes from a few followers to today it's over 30K. So it's really quickly in less than a couple weeks. So when it first came out, it did have the logos for ARMS, Pokken, and Splatoon 2, which were the announced invitational tournaments at E3, but there was a curious red empty space, and there was no talk about Smash anywhere on it. So what did you guys think when you first saw this?
Curious.
I mean, most people were like, yo, it's going to be Smash. And me too. I was like,
Mr. R made the Twitter like noting the space, and I said it would be like competitive. Or Animal Crossing competitive town management.
Right. It came with like a whole slew of memes, of course, and everyone was trying to figure out, what this new account is because it had very few tweets on it, and there was that curious red empty space up on there, and then during E3, it was your one-stop source for all of Nintendo's specifically invitational tournament goings on. Like the official NOA Twitter had almost nothing on it except for retweeting occasionally what Nintendo Versus had, and then it just went almost by play with some of them. Like ARMS, it was, and Pokken, I think it was, and actually Splatoon, I think all of them, it was between each match they were like live now here, kind of like a tournament organizer would do.
Yeah, like with GIFs and everything.
Right, like even originally made GIFs in some cases.
Yeah, and you see they're retweeting, now they're retweeting CEO stuff. They're retweeting a bunch of stuff about Pokken. They're tweeting
we're jumping ahead. We're jumping ahead there.
Yeah. True.
But yeah, so we had all these tournaments, lots of buzz, and during the conference, we actually had a couple other people talk about it, and a couple articles and interviews came out. Most notably, JC Dotface, who, if you're not familiar, is I guess he's a high up in Nintendo. I know that he works for Nintendo, and he's constantly seen at different events. Like, for example, he's the one who brought ARMS to Genesis 4. So that's all thanks to him. But EE over at Yahoo eSports, which, by the way, moment of silence for Yahoo eSports.
Yeah, pretty disappointing. I liked the Yahoo eSports content a lot, actually.
They were very, very good.
So for those that don't know, Yahoo is now under a new CEO.
It was bought by Verizon, wasn't it, or something?
Something, yeah.
Yeah,
so,
there's a Verizon, AOL, Yahoo thing going on there, and somehow in the new management.
Yeah, so new management essentially does not believe in esports at all. They think it's a waste of time or whatever. So they basically cut everything about Yahoo's esports program, and everybody just got dropped, and that's it. It sucked for EE too because he learned at E3 and from the tweet. No one even most. I think people,
everybody did. Everybody that was following esports found out right there.
Yeah, but
he worked for them.
Yeah, even a lot of people who worked for Yahoo esports found out first through the tweet before finding out later.
Yeah, I mean.
And they were doing content at E3 for Yahoo eSports. And they're like, yeah, on Friday, you're all fired, basically.
Yeah, I mean, it calls into mind a lot of the sort of underlying issues that we've talked about. But, I mean, who knows what Yahoo eSports profit model was. They had really good impressions and engagements, but for the scene being so fickle with money at the moment, like here and there, who knows how it turned out for them. It clearly wasn't working out enough for Oath to keep it.
I think the wording just kind of threw everybody off because it said new management does not believe in esports or whatever. It doesn't think it's a thing. I forgot the exact wording, but I think that's what really ticked everybody off.
Yeah. And it also sucks because they were at a height, they weren't struggling. Like everything, they did quality content for Smash and Melee. They had like Tafo up there. They had anti-EE and D1 do interviews before, a bunch of events. I think they did pieces on Civil War. I mean, they really showed like a really good light, but that's not really what this episode's about. But yeah, moment of silence for Yahoo Esports.
Yeah, even the Who's Your Demon series, I think, was done by Yahoo, but they did a tournament for Melee too, right? But yeah, either way, check out Yahoo Esports since we won't have a chance to see any new content for them. At least go through and check it out. Hopefully it doesn't get deleted anytime soon, but I wouldn't hold my breath. But there was a interview that was videotaped. It's about 9 minutes long, but where EE interviews Vayseth, and he talks about what Versus is. And Vayseth quickly says, "Yo guys, that quote unquote empty space, it's red. It's the Nintendo logo red. That's all it is. We just needed to leave some empty space because of how Twitter like moves your profile picture up over the banner, and like that's what we did. There's nothing here. Sorry guys." And kind of quelled everybody. And he also said something in that interview where he said Nintendo Versus was specifically for E3, and where we go from here is kind of like up in the air. So there was a moment where not only did we not have any Smash news, but then JC quickly debunked the conspiracy theory that there might be an empty space in the banner. That banner is also changed, as Sage said earlier, where now all the different games have sort of like an overlay feel, and the red actually has now the Nintendo logo on it. So everybody at Smash, at least in Twitter, was a bit upset. How did you guys feel?
About the chain, like the confirmation that it wasn't going to be anything.
Right, like that was gone. That E3 didn't really mention Smash at all. I know we talked about how it'd be marketing suicide, but you personally, I'm sure you had some expectations. So
yeah, I mean, I thought that there'd be something like despite ARMS being released. Like I was glad how they did the direct. I mean, first of all, the direct was genius with just like 3 minutes of basically all the past content we knew, because if the direct was like 15 minutes of ARMS, like we didn't need that anymore, so it wasn't. And it wasn't about Splatoon either. So it just had like a quick 3 minute like how the Switch would work out for everybody and showed the games, and then it went into all the crazy content. But I thought at the end maybe there'd be like a little something, but
I think that's what the thing that was on the hearts and minds of everybody was there's got to be a little something. But as Sage said, all they need is a Smash Ball logo and a Switch logo, and like that would cause everybody to lose their minds. I mean, look at Metroid Prime 4, right?
Oh yeah, that was godlike.
That
I was not
a
expecting that, and I even said that morning on Twitter that it would not happen in a million years. So I ate my shoe, or I ate my hat, or whatever.
two Samus games at E3.
I
Yeah.
know.
Craziness, right?
And one coming out this year,
Yeah. So
which
that,
it's
I mean,
been
that's pretty
confirmed
cool.
it's a remake of 2, right?
That'll be great.
Yeah, Metroid Prime. The 3DS one is a remake of.
Right.
Samus
That's the
Returns
one
or
coming out this
something?
year.
Yeah. And then Metroid Prime 4 is just like the next Metroid Prime,
For sure.
which would be really cool. Yeah.
Yeah, that series is really cool. Nintendo gave everybody a lot of love. Plus, Bill Trinan, the troll that he is, says, you guys should definitely be watching the Nintendo Twitter because we're about to announce something no one's expecting. And it was like some crazy Kaiten Zushi game. And everyone was
Sushi
like,
Striker.
just like, good work.
Dude, I was with Rogers Base at the time, and like we were walking over to a different show floor, and all of a sudden like we see that tweet, and he starts freaking out thinking it's Smash. I was like, it's probably not Smash, but like, what if it's Smash? So we all had to run back. We ran to the Nintendo area, running just in time to see this announcement. We get really excited, and then fucking Sushi Striker is what comes up.
Well done, Bill. Well done. So,
Right? Because like everybody was tweeting about that announcement because so many people were thinking like, oh my God, like what is it? Because he's like, it's not for everybody, but some of you may like it. Wink, wink, competitive players.
I mean, he definitely. There's so much like confirmation bias like involved. Like the thing that's always funny in these situations is that like anytime I talk to someone about Smash, right? Like, oh, if you played Smash before, they always go back to their 64 like first time exposure, right? Like 15 years ago. Like Smash for so many people is just like one game and also just something they used to do on a console that's like more or less for children. But there's this like super vocal, passionate underground community that takes like anything that Nintendo says or does that slightly has to do with like Melee HD or like Smash League or whatever and just runs with it when anybody else is like, oh, like I have no idea what this might be. Like it's so funny how biased we are and like how we think of like their news when they're definitely not catering to us in most instances.
I know
Except for like
it was just so funny. Like
I tuned in. I was like, wait, is this gonna be? Because I was like, no, wait. Like they can't just do like a treehouse like Smash reveal. They have to do like its own direct. But then I was like, but I mean, there's no rules at this point. Metroid was just announced, and then I watched, and it was a fucking
Right,
game.
and that was the thing. There was so many ways that you could look at it where you're like, there's an empty space here, and then the direct's over, but then they just revealed Metroid, so anything could happen.
And it was right before like the ARMS tournament, right? So like it's kind of already esportsy a little bit. It's like leading into this competition, so maybe they were going to give versus details or something.
Yeah, I don't know if it was on purpose, but I guarantee you, like those tweets and the way that they did things definitely kept their viewership up. I think they were the number one E3 on Twitch channel.
Oh
pretty
my
much
god,
the whole
I was
time.
watching the Etika stream of the reaction just to watch it with Etika, and I think the stream itself got over 100, if not 200,000 viewers.
For the
which
direct?
is- yeah, for the Nintendo 30-minute direct.
Oh,
It
yeah.
was insanity.
There was a lot more than that because there was the Twitch channel streaming it as well as the Nintendo channel, and I think one of them had 250,000. I don't remember exactly which one. But yeah, there was a lot.
Which is big. I mean, that's the power right now. I mean, like I didn't even know what was announced at E3, to be honest with you, except for anything related to Nintendo. And the Switch looks like one of the strongest consoles right now, ironically, with like one of the lowest processing powers. Like I think Xbox announced. I didn't ever read into this, but it's like the Xbox One X, right? Is that real or
Yeah,
was that a meme?
No, the
No,
Xbox
that's
One
real.
X is a real thing. It is
Okay.
It's a $500 console that can do 4K, and it's also backwards compatible all the way to the original Xbox, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, Jet Set Radio Future would be nice, but I don't know.
I did not know that other part, and that actually makes it really cool.
Right? Like, it's
Yeah.
really interesting that you can just grab any of your old Xbox games.
Halo 1. Jesus.
Like the original, because like
God.
remakes have been like such a touchy subject, especially among competitive games. So can you imagine if they released like a new console, like that you could put Melee discs in? You know what I mean? Like they don't even need to make Melee HD. They just need to make an HD console that plays Melee.
But it's backwards compatible like with the CD, or are they gonna have a virtual console?
No, backwards compatible with the CD, apparently.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Well, I don't
Right.
even know how would you get those anymore?
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
Retro shops for Xbox just like exploded with value. So,
Yeah. I mean, there's some. God, I'm trying to think of some favorite Xbox One titles. Jesus.
Knights of the Old Republic.
Xbox One
Knights
being
of
the
the
first.
Republic.
Xbox One being the first Xbox, not the Xbox One current console.
Correct.
They
correct.
need different names. The
No.
names are awful.
I was thinking about the big blocky black one. Right?
Yeah, the old one, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
Halo
The origi-
1. Like
Yeah, the
Halo
original
fucking
Xbox.
1.
Halo 1, Halo 2, Knights of the Old Republic.
Star Wars Commando.
When you say Xbox One,
That's
it
the
makes
white
me-
one, right?
it's the new one, right? So, but you said the Xbox One, like the
First.
original.
First
yeah,
Xbox, yeah.
First Xbox, original Xbox. I don't know. It's terrible naming. It's like
Right.
the Wii to Wii U.
Right. Like, ugh. And like the best part is, like somebody put some sort of like word clutter or something out there where it's just like they showed the original Xbox and it was like,
Oh my god.
Xbox.
This is so funny.
and like this is an Xbox box, and then they were like,
In a
this is an
box.
Xbox One. This is an Xbox One box, and like this is Xbox One X. This is a box of X1. Fuck, I can't
Box.
even say it. Yeah, but like, yeah, it was whatever. Marketing aside,
And the initials for the Xbox Xbox One X actually spell out Xbox?
Yeah, backwards like race car.
What?
Oh, right.
Oh,
It's
I mean, yeah. Well, Xbox One X. If you take it XBOX, Xbox One X, like the initials, if you put punctuation between everything, it still says Xbox. Like, it's so goofy.
yeah, no, that is.
Anyways, this like machine that can open a portal to the other dimension got beat out by like something that can play a Pokemon RPG. Like,
That's true.
in
Nintendo
a
didn't
year.
Nintendo didn't even have a graphic for their Pokemon
They
game.
didn't even have it like they don't. Do we know if I heard that Retro Studios is not developing Metroid 4, which is interesting, but I didn't also hear that they were. So they didn't even announce. They just had Metroid and a number, and that was enough to take all the hype from anything that Xbox had or
Yeah.
PlayStation.
So many
And,
people
well,
freaked out.
Mario becoming a T-Rex, I think, won.
Oh my god! And then Mario Odyssey, I wasn't sold on it before because I was like, I don't know. Okay, I was, but like. I only did Mario 64 and I didn't do Mario Sunshine because I don't know why. Even though I hear it's amazing, it's godlike, and I didn't do Mario Galaxy either because I don't know, I just grew out of platformers. But Odyssey is like it is so wacky, like it is so wacky.
Right.
The jazz song sold me. I was like, this is so good.
Ooh, yeah.
Everything like the standard for Nintendo IPs right now are like the highest they've ever been, like across the board.
Yeah. And so the Mario Odyssey trailer was really awesome, and like just seeing Mario become a T-Rex and seeing Mario become a traffic pole is like
Mario became a person, like
which is weird, right? Like kind of weird, but kind of awesome.
Everything was out of control. I didn't when I saw the T-Rex, I was like, "What is this Turok? Like what is going on here?" And then
No.
boom.
Well,
I was
you know
like,
the meme of
Jesus.
E3 was 4K after Xbox, right? So my
Yeah.
favorite meme that came out of E3 was a picture of Yoshi, and then it said 4K
Oh my
Yoshi, and it was
God.
the Tyrannosaur from Odyssey.
Honestly, like we live in a world now where like graphics are just so oversaturated with like it's hard to you have to really reinvent with gameplay.
Trigger warning, oversaturation.
Yeah, I mean, no, but like the thing is like if you were born after 2000, okay, if you were born in 2000, you're 17 years old. By now, you grew up with probably COD in middle school. You grew up with the Xbox 360 as like your first console, right? You grew up with like, like 6 gigabyte graphic chips is like, well, maybe you didn't grow up with that, but now they are. Like, you never knew what bad looked like, you know what I mean? Like, we grew up with Tomb Raider, Polygon, Pyramid Tits. And like
Wow.
it was like that we used to be so ugly. Like Mario 64, like everything was so
Mario 64, yeah, just it looks so bad.
But it plays great. It plays great. Like
I think Star Fox is the only one that stands up from 64. Also Mario Party 2, like the Mario parties actually surprisingly still play and like look pretty decent.
the thing is that everything looked bad back then. Like PS2 games, like oh my god, I don't know if you guys saw the Tekken PlayStation cover that had the edited images of Marvel vs. Capcom Dante.
Yeah.
Oh my god, like PlayStation games, the cover art with
Sage, did you see that?
Yeah, I saw it. It was so good.
Yeah, early 3D renders were so ugly, and they also had the uncanny valley effect, where like they didn't get the realism right, so it just looks really scary. Like, oh my god! But yeah, I mean, graphics aren't a selling point so much so anymore, especially with like the advent of indie games, like potentially being hits, and they don't have that much graphical. Sometimes they don't have like so much graphical, like to program and code and design a AAA title like fucking Halo 7, like that's like millions, and graphics are expensive at that point.
Well, I mean, let's not go that far because otherwise we wouldn't have places like Kappa boycotting MVCI because they think it's garbage and it looks bad and everybody wants to welcome our new Dragon Ball Z overlords from Arc System.
Yeah, no, but the thing is that that's a different type of thing. Like that's aesthetic. Like Dragon Ball Z Fighters looks like, oh my god, all the animations are
dude, it's so
incredible.
Good. I could talk about like I went in as like a BlazBlue player from before, so I was able to like pick up some techniques right away that were very obviously Arc System stuff. But even just like I would jump and like shoot a Kamehameha wave, and the ground would like explode where my opponent got knocked down, and it would just stay like shattered apart through the whole match.
Oh
It
my
was
god,
like,
yeah. It looked like I saw like gameplay of like deflecting one of the key blasts and it hit like a building and I was like, what is this game? And that game totally stole the thunder from Marvel vs. Capcom. I'm sorry. Like that
For
game's dead in
sure.
the water. Like it's so sad. And Capcom also seems to be like a chicken with its head cut off running around because I don't even know what they're thinking anymore. Like
apparently, so Marvel vs. Capcom, I guess from a lot of people who played it, said in gameplay, and even me, I stopped by. I didn't get a chance to play it because the lines for everything were like 9 hours. Like you had to get there when the convention center opened.
really?
Mhm.
It was insanity. You had to get there when the convention center opened, jump in line for a game, and like that's probably all you were doing that day. Some guy was still like 4 hours out from Destiny, and he had been there since 10 a.m. and said he was waiting for like 5 hours.
Oh my
And it
god.
was like you spent your whole day to play like a 20-minute Destiny demo.
Wait, but isn't it like huge and stuff?
It is huge. It was like because it was the first year open to the public for E3, like it was so present. Like everyone was Dissidia, like a smaller game, had like an hour wait. These like random Oculus Rift games that look like garbage. I played a couple because they had no lines and they were garbage. Even those, like day one, still had like hour waits.
Wow.
So
Well, now
it was
we know why
crazy,
they
but
didn't open to the public before.
yeah, I don't know if I personally I would go back if I didn't have like a media badge or something or an industry badge or whatever. But watching Marvel vs. Capcom play, it looked really nice. Like the game is actually very pretty and it looks like it plays very well. And from what I've heard, people were saying it does play very well. But like aesthetically, everything outside of the main gameplay screen just looks like garbage.
I saw the
Everyone's just
menu.
complaining about the story mode demo that they put out there because that's really what anybody could see. Like if you went to CEO or if you went to E3, you could have played the actual version of the game where you could play versus, and like evidently it's one of the most creative combo systems ever. But like all people see is like the terrible story mode because that's the only thing that everybody had. Like I don't know about you guys, but I'm a huge Marvel fan, and we immediately scoured the PlayStation Online store, got the demo, and played it immediately, and were pretty underwhelmed. Like, yeah, we got to play Marvel, but the way the demo was, like, you can't pick your character, so you kind of had to like play it over and over again, which only let you see those terrible CGI cutscenes over and over again.
The
Yeesh.
game looks like it's like 4 months old, and it's trying to compete with Dragon Ball now.
Which is awkward because there was absolutely no announcements surrounding Dragon Ball. I couldn't even believe it when I saw it. I was so confused. Like, what the hell?
Well, they
I
had
know it
one
was
for
like
the 3DS that was very similar, and I think the
Yeah,
system's
and
based
I
off that.
remember. Yeah, I remember a PlayStation game that was similar, but I don't know, nothing this polished that I'd ever seen before.
we had all
And
the you had all like
especially
the Dragon Ball
Tenkaichi, right?
yeah the Tenkaichi games, the Raging Burst or Raging Blast games.
Yeah, not
Uh,
Budokai, because Budokai was pretty fun, but it was nothing like this. It was like 3D caliber style.
right, and you had
Ish.
pretty standard combos. I remember in like Budokai and stuff, you would like hit like BBBA and that was your combo or
Berserker
whatever.
Barrage. Oh no, wait, no,
Yeah.
that's Wolverine. I'm totally
Yeah.
on the
Where-
wrong.
where
All
are
right,
you?
all right. So
Gallic Gun, that.
yeah, I just realized that we went on like a 20-minute tangent about DBZ and E3 and stuff, but kind of like
That's fine.
yeah. No, to bring it back, like if I'm sure if you have a Twitter account, please go around, find Namco Bandai's Twitter. You can even 2GG tweeted it out. Multiple people have tweeted it out. They said that they will bring it on the Switch if there is enough support. So please go out there and tweet, retweet out there.
Is
Let
that
them know.
verified or is that?
Yes, the company themselves said if there's enough support, we will look into it. So that is a statement from the company itself.
Yeah, directly
Interesting.
from Arc System.
And I guess also they probably are though, because I mean that Hori fight pad's coming out and all this stuff. I don't know. I see
Well,
it.
they said they had no plans for the Switch, but if people want it, they'll do it.
Right. So
Essentially,
go
so
out
if
there
there's
and do
support, yeah, because if I can lab my combos
I'm switching games.
on the plane, like that's it,
Oh
guys.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
over.
yeah. Like I think that would change fighting games forever, where you could just bring your console everywhere and just play everywhere. And there's USB ports, so you could just plug your sticks in there. Ugh. All right, enough of that. Let's bring it back to where we were talking about, which is the disappointment that there was, or not necessarily disappointment. We kind of expected it, but you can expect that nothing's going to happen, but deep down you really were expecting. But just to further crush everyone's dreams. Reggie talked to Kotaku at E3, and this article's out there. It's called Nintendo Response to Smash Bros. Pro's Callout Wants to Keep Seeing Grassroots. Now, Sage, you were there because it was at Smash and Splash where Hungry Box goes on stage and he goes, "A certain company that acknowledges us but refuses to push us. I hope you're listening right now because I want you to hear this. I want you to hear the amount of people who support this league, the amount of people who want this to be a lifestyle for people. This is not just a video game. This is a lifestyle, all right?" And Kotaku brought this up to Reggie himself at E3, where he kind of went, well, Nintendo wants to support them so they can do their own tournaments, and we want to encourage the community, quote unquote. We want to enable them to put on tournaments and to have fun for the players themselves. That's our view of this space, is what he said to Kotaku. And so now we have the man himself from NOA saying, look, Smash is its own space. That empty space is for the Nintendo logo, not for Smash. We haven't announced a new Smash. Smash is in its own space. We will support it. And that was that. So everyone kind of left E3 feeling a bit down.
I think it's interesting that Reggie was like so blatant about it, right? For so long, we never got word. And then all of a sudden it was just like, you guys do you. That's it. Which on one hand is really bad when if this is 100% true, Smash will never have developer support, right? Big N will never come in and be like, here's how we want to shape this esport. On the other hand, it doesn't put people out of a job if they're doing this, right? So there is like a little bit of a silver lining, but it sucks. It sucks that the money's not there, but it also does mean that maybe other companies might be willing to look into supporting Smash, knowing that it is grassroots and that Nintendo will support it if their statement is official.
Right. I've heard whims from Japan that the streaming licensing for Nintendo games since Nintendo Versus has weaned a little bit. So that it used to be a very complicated process. Like for something for Tokaigi, they had to get like all these official documents, and they're gonna say exactly what they're gonna do, and like NOJ could say yes or no. But it seems like OpenRec and Nico Nico and probably Twitch, but I haven't heard anything specifically from them. Where they're gonna have easier times with it, and hopefully that extends to YouTubers and Twitch streamers, because that was always a huge, especially YouTubers, that was a huge thing. So if they're gonna just show support and kind of let us do our thing, but at least let people who have money to go in there and do their own thing and like not risk a cease and desist or something like that, that's a win.
It's a small win, but it's a win.
Right. And I mean, specifically when you were talking about, Nintendo doesn't know much, like Reggie actually said that himself in that article, and I can read the quote. He says, "I will say this," he added, 5, 6, 7 years ago, as we engaged with our developers and talked to them about Smash Brothers and what was happening, there was not a lot of understanding about this space. And it's been people like Nintendo of America's Bill Trinan and JC Rodrigo and all of these folks who understand the space that have helped us educate our company and educate our developers around the benefits of engaging with the community and empowering and enabling this to happen. So there is definitely a rework of thinking at Nintendo. It's coming little by little, but like Nintendo Versus is obviously a huge step in the right direction. All things point to Nintendo starting to take the community a bit more seriously. So even if it's not direct handling, they're at least going, hey, here you go. Which, as you guys know, Sage talked about it a little bit earlier, Nintendo Versus started actually tweeting about Smash.
Yeah, like pretty heavily.
Yeah, that was the other thing too. Like I think that beforehand, when there was like Nintendo sponsorships of like events where they would, sort of have the arms as commercials on the stream and whatnot, and the Nintendo of America account would like kind of retweet to like look at certain tournaments. Nintendo Versus is totally like just making GIFs and like linking directly to like Video Game Boot Camp's YouTube to watch VODs. Like that has never been done before, ever.
For sure. Just to give you guys a quick rundown about what has happened since E3, Nintendo Versus has tweeted out CEO, which is the tournament that happened last weekend, included a link to VG Bootcamp. So that's also big. Like Nintendo themselves acknowledged VG Bootcamp. They retweeted an article on Captain Zach. So they're even acknowledging eSports articles and writing and publishers. Tweets out when Melee at CEO was happening. They made Mimi GIFs that, as far as I know, were completely original. like while top 8 was happening, and they tweet and post the results of both Melee and Smash 4. According to Bear, they didn't tweet when Smash 4 was starting because it was started at 7 a.m. Pacific time, and we can assume that whoever's doing Nintendo Versus lives on the West Coast, so that's where Nintendo is. So yeah, we didn't get one for that in RIP, but they did, as you just said, when they posted links to the VODs, they did use Ken Spindash from CEO, his opening, while doing that. So,
Big deal. Like, it means that they, first of all, acknowledged it. And if they acknowledged it, they'd probably click it. And if they clicked and just see what's going on, they know. I mean, they probably saw, like the Melee. I mean, last night they saw definitely like the Melee commentators. They saw Hungrybox play. Obviously, Hungrybox giving that statement at Smush and Splash. Like, they know. Like, and they've known beforehand, but now it's like super. They know.
Right. They're definitely acknowledging more and more post E3. So this is a good time for us. Finally, after 16 years of Melee, this is as far as we've come. But
We got some tweets.
we did it, guys. Well,
it's like a fuck. Oh my god! It's like getting your dad to acknowledge you.
yeah, it's like, yeah, like Nintendo is very much a cat and not a dog. So it'll come over when it wants to. Otherwise,
Yeah, that's a great analogy. Yeah.
So
Doesn't respond by name. Doesn't have feelings.
yeah,
Just comes when it wants to.
there was actually an E3 quote from what's his name, Miyamoto. He when he was talking about dogs when it first came out on 3DS, he said why he didn't do a cats game or whatever, and he basically said something like that. So right back at Nintendo for you. But yeah. So while we're wrapping up here, because all of us have gotten significantly busier over the last few weeks, and we want to keep these shows to under an hour, let's talk about pros and cons of Nintendo Versus. And I wanted to start off right away with the big con that I see from this, even though we've talked about how cool this is and how far we come or whatever. Like Nintendo sponsored events, Genesis 4, the Big House 6, etc. They used to tweet from the official NOA account, which has 7.15 million followers. Now, if they're only making these kinds of tweets from Nintendo Versus, we're missing out on millions of potential eyes seeing this content. You know what I mean? Like, I'm going to double check right now to make sure, but I don't think NOA retweeted the CEO tweet. But yeah, assuming that they didn't, what do you guys feel about that?
You can go for a
I mean,
search.
if all that Nintendo of America had tweeted out was like Nintendo sponsored events, if Nintendo Versus is going to tweet out
Never
all
mind.
events,
No, I'm full of it. Like they did retweet one tweet, and it was tune in now to CEO Gaming for the Super Smash Bros. Melee Top 8 Finals. They did retweet that.
right?
That's also big.
Which is also all that the other events ever really got, right?
Yeah.
So if Nintendo of America tweets out this one tweet saying when it's live, or retweets it or whatever, but Nintendo Versus does this full eSports, even though they're not calling it eSports on Nintendo Versus.
Social competitive.
Yeah, social. Well, I think social is attached to it. I think it's just calling it competitive gaming, but like Nintendo Versus is the social hub for competitive updates. I think that's what that.
That makes a lot more sense. But anyway,
It's yes, but so if Nintendo Versus is going to be almost like this news outlet for Nintendo competitive games, like that's huge that we can now really easily link the Pokken community, the Splatoon community, the ARMS community, the Smash community, and if they're going to cover all this, and even if Nintendo just gives a retweet every once in a while, that's still way more than what we were getting before.
Yeah, well, one of the positives I see is definitely like, so we're going to have ideally conversations happening that we don't know about by a lot of our leaders and getting Nintendo to sort of not play nice, but just play it all. So that'll be good. But I guess some of the negatives will be is like, it's weird to not. So people act differently when they're being watched. And what I feel right now is, Nintendo's like present, but not stepping in. And I feel that like certain situations might come about where, it's not like we need to be esports or whatever, because I guess in a sense we do now. But what sucks is that we're not being esports for anything. Like we wouldn't be being esports to keep our contract of $10 million because we don't have contracts. We're not being esports to keep our sponsors because we don't have sponsors. And so it's kind of weird. Whereas before, like, not being esports or having non-esports streams or hype because, like, you know, we're grassroots and we're the homies and all that. Like, now we don't get the benefit of being able to default to that. And we don't get the benefits of having, like, this standard that we have to meet because no one's imposing it on us, but they're still there. You know what I mean? Like, Coney, when he saw Nintendo Versus, he posted a picture of, like, I don't know, some website that deletes all your tweets because
Oh
Tony,
yeah.
like, Coney's known for being, you know, funny, and he can be lewd or whatever because it's also his personal account. But, like, again, if Nintendo's looking for these potential ambassadors, I mean, you know, you have to act a certain way, you know? So it's kind of sucky that we have to act a certain way, but that might not ever be, like, you know, complimented or appreciated in the way we'd like. That's
Yeah,
all.
I mean, like it's exactly like you said. Like we're trying to treat ourselves as if we are being sponsored by Nintendo, but we're really not. So like we're limiting ourselves, and like specifically, a lot more people have been less critiquing Nintendo as of like recently. I know it's been less than a month, but like still like people are talking a lot less about that, and they want to try to welcome them in, but like they haven't really done anything. But I did want to mention also, I'm looking at Nintendo Versus right now. It does say that the tweets are by Nintendo America, so my whole point about the 7.1 million followers might not actually be entirely accurate. But if they are retweeting Nintendo Versus stuffs regularly, so people can at least see this account, and then they can get more information from that, like that could be a huge thing.
Yeah, and it's also like it's like what, like a 2 weeks, 3 weeks? No, it's just two, right?
Yeah,
Like two.
E3 and CEO were in the same week, so it feels like a month, but it really
Yeah,
wasn't.
I think it was made 2 weeks ago, but it's really been active for a week.
Right.
It
And
says, yeah, joined June 2017. So, like,
yeah, literally this month. Like, it's also extremely young, and they're already seeing, you know, they read the tweets. I mean, they have marketers. They're definitely reading the tweets. Maybe not all of them, but there's a lot of positive engagement. Like, that's not typical. Like, I see like TSM or CLG sometimes post about like results, and they don't get the sort of reactions that we do sometimes. Granted, obviously, if they win something, that's a different story. But like Nintendo, like put a gif of Meta Knight doing Tornado, and it's like 3,000 likes. You know, like that's the amount of fervor we have under us. So it could also change. I mean, I don't think that their policies are set in stone necessarily. I think Reggie is trying to keep very non-committal, and they're also having to worry about an entire company and the direction that that's headed with 3 games with one IP that's brand new and trying to make sure that that succeeds because they felt the loss of the Wii, you know, or Wii U rather. So it could change. It's like 2 weeks in and people are expecting like a league. Like, give it time. Like, give it
Well,
time.
yeah.
let's also just look at the numbers that are on here. Like any of the CEO gaming tweets, we're looking at over 1,000 retweets, over 3,000 likes on one,
That's awesome.
770 retweets, 3.8K for the melee tweet. Then even their GIF got more than that because it was 3.6K retweets and almost 10K likes. And all of these are just huge numbers for all, even the results tweets. They all, either the likes or the retweets are over a K. So it's bringing a lot more exposure for sure.
Yeah, and I think it gives Smashers a central hub too, where it's like all Smash players and even other competitive games players of Nintendo account, like Nintendo games, are gonna follow this account, and you're gonna see, I think, a lot more retweets coming from this specific channel for tournaments versus if VGBC or if Unrivaled or if CEO or whatever tweets it out.
Yeah.
This is gonna get more exposure just by the
Yeah.
nature of it being Nintendo. And I think that's also huge in an esports sense where now you're going to have these impressions not maybe represent your entire community, but it is still something that maybe potential sponsors or investors or teams or whatever are going to look at and say, okay, it's a little more appealing now. It's not like full developer support, but there's something.
Yeah, and that's the biggest thing too is like being able because like if they made Nintendo Versus and it stayed at 1,000 followers, then you know that there's no future for that. But like it got immediately like blown up and it's been immediately hotly contested, and like that's for a reason. So I think their policies might change, maybe not this year. You know, they might turn around and just do the complete opposite. Like, again, there's like very little precedent to go on. I mean, it's literally the Trump administration when it comes to being predictable. Like, they could do anything. They just announced Metroid 4, so I don't know. I'm wrong for the rest of the year with thinking how impossible Metroid 4 would be, and here we're getting two Metroids. So like, like I'm the idiot, but
Yeah, did you guys see that? It had there's like that bingo card for E3, and it's just filled
the
with like
hopeless one, the
the
hopeless
hopeless
one.
one. It's just
Like a Gek
Metroid,
X sequel, and like, oh my god, they had
Spyro
it.
and stuff.
Yeah, they had like super obscure titles that like are completely abandoned.
Yeah, and then of course, here's Metroid, just like the only one crossed out of this bingo card.
Right. Yeah, that was a meme for the longest time, but we are reaching about an hour, so I want to like wrap it up. And it's like, what does Nintendo versus mean for us specifically? Like Suar, for example. Like, do you think that Nintendo versus is going to tweet out the PGR for you?
So that's where this is now interesting, because like a lot of the projects that we're doing, right? It's like the biggest problem with Smash in terms of content creation is we make things for us, and like that's not effective because it doesn't grow, right? It doesn't grow our audience. Like, Unrivaled puts on the best streams, but only Smashers know about it. You know, like I've shown Unrivaled streams before to like my friends when I want to show like, you know, Frostbite Grand Finals or whatever between Sue and Zero, and they're like, wow, this looks really cool. And it's like, yeah, it does. But I think that, and same thing for the PGR, like the PGR blows up, but it only blows up for us. And I think that Nintendo has this now special uh like platform to like take what we do and put it on a pedestal for then everybody else to see. So like the corporate heads that are at Nintendo that are like, you know, being all corporate, you know, they see an Unrivaled GIF or they see an Unrivaled, you know, set, and they're like, now looking at that, now they're looking at Unrivaled's Twitch page. You know, that's huge. We're like, why would they ever find Unrivaled's Twitch page on any other basis, right? If they didn't follow Smash. And same thing for the PGR. So it being before E3, it being like such a high stakes production now, like I could imagine they might retweet it, but I don't know, because I also don't know like if they, you know, with the only thing that makes me think that they'll retweet it is the fact that they directly linked to VGBC's YouTube page, which is almost an endorsement. So
Right. That, I think you sort of mentioned that when like Sage probably would just say, yeah, what you said or what I said. But like, Sage, doesn't this mean that like if Nintendo tweets you out, that's like almost like they're giving you money?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say money, but that's an endorsement. Like, they're literally recognizing you as a source, a valid source for content. Like, that's huge.
Yeah, it kind of gives validation to the whole scene of just like what we're doing has been noticed, and they are going to support in their own way. It may not be what we wanted, but it's something.
Yeah, if the PGR gets to be retweeted by Nintendo versus, let alone Nintendo of America, then that has, in my book, been an I made it moment, in the sense that all the 50 players are going to be plastered to like all these people that they wouldn't have been before. Because like we'll retweet it and we'll watch it on YouTube or whatever, but like for so many people, the PGR goes immediately into just the pictures and the videos aren't watched because of whatever. But for other people, it's their first time learning about the Smash scene through the PGR and seeing who's number, you know, 10, number 9. Like, that's really valuable. So it'd be cool. And like they have the platform to do that. Whereas, you know, Panic can retweet it, and you know, all these other people can retweet it as much as they want, but we're still sharing it to ourselves. You know what I mean? Like that's why it was so huge for me. That they actually linked VGBC's channel, like their actual playlist for CEO. That was incredible.
Right. And like hopefully that brings in more viewership, because like that will help VGBC get more money because they're
Yeah,
going to get money
what
off the
is like
views.
what's this channel? Like, wait, what is Rest Chasing? What who plays this game still? Wait, what's Xanadu? Oh wait, this is in Maryland? I live in Maryland. Wait, what? And it could snowball like that so easily. Like Smash and Splash, like tournaments like that, you know, these really big spectacles like Genesis, all these other things that happen like just once a year, like they could be instrumental in bringing that to like actually grow. They're the key to growing our casual audience, because we're so bad at that over and over. We have these key ideas like side events at tournaments like you've thought of, and like other means like that shine 2016 had, but like again, like we don't have people to get new blood in the system yet.
For sure.
So
But
on this scale, like on this scale,
right.
we could just tweet to 7 million people.
Right. So for the streamers, we can see how it could directly affect them. For tournament organizers, that can only help their branding, because if they're tweeting out the stream, they're essentially tweeting out their tournament. So like this is huge for me, as well as like we continue to go doing events. And most of all, I just want to thank Bear, because as while he won't admit it, I guarantee he had something to do with this. Like he has to. He's been notably quiet to pretty much everybody, and he usually is very loud. I don't know if like it's seen in the PG chats at all, but like he's been very, very, very like, which made me think that something was going to happen at E3, because Bear's never quiet about anything, but he's been quiet lately. So maybe he's just tired and busy, because E3 to CEO is a tough schedule. But you know, so shout outs to Bear. Thank you. I don't know what your networking genius has done, but it's definitely giving us a couple steps forward, which is what we need right now. So excited for the future.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think Sage will have a moment too where like if he gets his stream link retweeted by Nintendo Versus or Nintendo of America, that's like really big.
Yeah, that'll just be really cool. Like, hey, Nintendo, somebody from Nintendo had to go and type out our channel, probably enter it, look for a second, and go, okay, I'm gonna send this out.
Yeah,
Like that's awesome.
it's good enough for now, for sure. And who knows what will happen if there's another game that comes out, another like a port or a brand new Smash title. They've already shown that they'll do invitationals for it, so I guarantee you they'll be involving the community, aka Bear, D1, your notables, as well as a slew of other players. Like last year, or not last year, it's been way too long, but Zero won the invitational for Smash 4, and I know that they'll keep moving forward. And like people haven't noticed, but they've been moving forward slowly but surely for a while, and like it's only going to get better and better from here. So but yeah.
Yeah, I guess the only thing is that like a lot of things in the Smash community right now are riding on like getting that final like okay from Nintendo for things, and like leadership is still so nebulous that we're gonna have to go into next year like with an actual plan, or else a lot of things will keep cannibalizing, oversaturating, and blah 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 blah. And just because Nintendo's here doesn't mean that there isn't gonna be 60 events a month, you know. So that's, if anything, like a prompt now that's to like make the leadership what it's gonna be, because it'll be needed next year for sure.
For sure. Yeah, I think it gives companies, people who might want to endorse Smash, as well as the leadership who is about timid, especially around E3, to do anything or unveil anything or work out any new projects, because they didn't know what Nintendo was going to do. Now they've sort of played their hand, so now we can work accordingly. So that's just good news for Smash in general, if it isn't the
Yeah.
news that we were expecting or wanted particularly.
Yeah.
Yeah, just the definitiveness of it is good.
But yeah, so I just want to let everybody know, sorry for the break, but we've all been insanely busy for one reason or another. And we're not going to do the numbers since we missed so many weeks, and we didn't do the numbers. And we're going to skip on the run back because all of us have to get back to what we're doing. But yeah, we hope to get back to our normal schedule and everything starting next week. So student, thank you for reaching out to us. I know that a lot of people tweeted to us asking what's going on, and we tried to explain the best we could, but we're going to keep doing these weekly as best as we can. With the summer of Smash, things are pretty crazy, and it can be harder and harder to meet, but we will definitely do our best to bring you content every single week.
All right, guys, thank you so much for tuning in every week. As always, you can find us on SoundCloud, Google Play, iTunes, Stitcher, TuneIn, and YouTube. Of course, if there's any other major podcast sites you want to see hosted, definitely let us know. And if you have any questions for the runback, which we'll be getting back to next week, hit us up on Gmail at thesetcount@gmail.com, or on Twitter, DM us at thesetcount. Our DMs are open. Vayseth, final words?
I did see when the Pokken announcement happened that a bunch of Pokken leaders got together on Twitch, and they just had like kind of like a podcast, and like nobody's face was shown, and they just sort of streamed it, and it seemed pretty popular. Like that might be something in addition to podcast format that maybe we could do. We could just do a live show one of these days. What do you guys think about that? You can
We had
write us.
talked about it.
Yeah,
We had talked about it for a while.
Live
like the possibility of a
call-ins?
live show.
Live call-ins.
I mean, I have the ability to do it if we
Let's-
wanted to.
What do you guys think? You should write us at thesetcount on Twitter, or email us at thesetcount@gmail.com.
Yeah, we could make that our June project. But
For sure. Yeah, if we ever find time, maybe after
Yeah.
Big House, we'll think about it, or maybe for Big House, since hopefully all of us will be there. But anyway, this has been Vayseth,
Panic Global Suar.
And Unrivaled Sage.
and we will catch you guys next week.